Hey everyone, welcome to Windy Studio and welcome to another brand new tutorial. And today we'll be creating a simple product render design using Blender. And in this tutorial we'll cover everything from modeling, lighting, texturing and rendering. And I'll also show you a little bit of compositing technique on Photoshop too. So there is a lot to cover, so without any further ado, let's dive right into the video. So first let's start a new Blender file. I'll just don't save it, and let's delete those default cube, light and camera for now. Let's delete that, and let's start with a circle. So Shift A and let's add a circle. So you can add this from here too. Click on add and click on circle, and now let's select the circle, press on tab to go to the edit mode, and let's press S to scale. Let's make it a little smaller. Yep, something like that. Now let's select all and press E to extrude, and let's extrude it on G axis. Yep, maybe I think that height is pretty good. It's always better to get a reference and do the real world measurement, but for me I already modeled it like 2-3 times, so I'll just eyeball it for now. And now let's select all vertices and let's press E and S. Let's extrude inward. Maybe let's make it a little smaller. Alright, and again E, and let's move it a little bit up. Just keep it right that for now, and let's go to this edge selection tab, and let's alt and click to do the loop selection, and Control P to make. Let's add a bevel, and let's increase the bevel segments. I think 5 looks good to me. And let's do the same thing on the bottom, and again using the edge select mode, alt and click to make a ring selection, E, and let's press S to scale inward, and press F to fill the hole. Let's do the same thing, alt and click, and let's add a bevel, Control B. I think this is pretty good. And now let's add a modifier. So go over here, add a solidify modifier. Let's add a little more. I think this is looking pretty. Yep, I think that's pretty good size. Now let's apply this solidify modifier, and let's go back to the shading view, and I want more thickness on the bottom, so let's go to the edit mode, press tab for that, and let's go for face selection mode, select that one, and Control plus to increase the selection. Let's move this a little up, and just to give like more thickness on the bottom. And now let's model the inside liquid part. So for that, again let's select the face, Control plus and Shift D to make a duplicate, and right click and separate it by selection. Now we have two different objects. One is the whole cylinder, like whole object, and the duplicated one is for the inner liquid. You can rename it from here too. Let's rename it for the lotion part, and then it's a bottle. Now let's select this object, and let's press tab to go to the edit mode, and let's go to the vertices mode. Let's select these all vertices, and let's move it maybe right over here. Yep, and again E and S, let's extrude inward, and let's move it a little down, S, and press F to fill the hole, and then again let's turn that bottle off, and then let's go to the edge mode, and then alt and click to make a ring selection, and Control B. Let's bevel this, and let's add some bevel on edges. I think let's decrease it by, okay, let's keep it 4. Alright, now right click, let's click on Shade Smooth, and let's go to the object data property, and let's click on normal, and let's turn that auto smooth on. And same thing, select the bottle, right click, Shade Smooth, and let's turn that auto smooth on. Alright, I think this is pretty good for now. Now let's model a cap. So for that, let's add a circle again. So Shift A, add a circle. Tab, let's scale it, let it make it smaller. Let's move it right over here. Maybe a little more smaller. And again, tab, let's go to the vertices more, select all vertices, and E to extrude, and let's move it on G axis, and let's keep it maybe like this tall, and let's select those 4 vertices and press G, and let's move it a little down. Yep, maybe something like that. And again, same thing, let's add a solidify modifier. Now let's click on apply, and again right click, Shade Smooth, and let's go to the object data property, and let's turn that auto smooth on. Alright, now again let's add a cylinder, Shift A. Press tab to go to the edit mode, and press S to scale. Let's move it right over here, maybe scale, make it a little smaller. Yeah, let's make it more smaller. Let's scale it again. Alright, I think I'll just keep it right here. And again, let's go to the edge mode, Alt click, let's make a rim selection, Control B, let's bevel this. Alright, right over here. And again, same thing, right click, Shade Smooth, and let's turn that auto smooth on. And I think as a model, like we're done with the modeling part. Let's add a subsurface. So select the layer, and let's go to the modifier, and let's add a subdivision surface just to give like extra smoothness. Let's hide this one for now. So once you add subdivision surface, then we need to add some supporting edge loop. So press tab and Control R. Let's add a edge loop right over here, and one more on right over here. And the same thing, Control R. Let's add one right over here. Maybe add a one on the inner side too. Control R. Let's add right over here too. Alright, let's go to the wireframe mode. You know what, like let's add one inside too. So Control R. And let's move it right over here. Now let's add a subdivision for this part. So select this object, and let's add a subdivision modifier. And again, we need a supporting edge loop. So tab control R, let's add a edge loop, one right over here. Let's add one right over here too. Let's add one on the bottom, control R, let's add right over here, maybe one on the inside too, control R, let's add one, maybe let's add one over here too, control R. So yes, it's smooth. And now let's turn that on. I don't think we need a subdivision for this one. Just keep it like that. And now let's start our next phase, that is shader. So let's split this screen and let's change it to the shader editor. And let's drag and split this screen too. And on the very first, let's select our bottle object and let's add a new material. And for this one, I would like to make it a transparent, like glass-like object. So for that, let's increase the transmission all the way up. And let's drop down the roughness. Let's click on that viewport setting and yeah, just keep it like that for now, and then we're gonna tweak later. And now select this part and let's click on new material, and I would like to make it like more metallic, so increase the metallic, and then let's drop down the roughness. Yep, something like that. And for the base color, we're gonna tweak it later. So for this top cap, I would like to just keep it as a white, but I want to increase a little bit of metallic part, and let's drop down the roughness too. So this is what we have, and then let's turn that visibility off. So let's work on this part. Let's click on new material, and from here let's increase the subsurface to all the way to the 1, and let's change the subsurface color to kind of yellowish tone, maybe a little lighter, maybe something like that. And let's turn that visibility on, and let's go to the render properties and let's change from EV to cycle, and let's add a plane, shift A, and let's add a plane and press tab S, let's scale it, scale it some more, and let's select this edge, E to extrude, and let's extrude it on G-axis, and control B, let's bevel this, let's increase the bevel to 19 I think, and yep, let's click on Steady Smooth. Now let's add a camera, so for that press shift A and let's click on camera. So here we have the camera right over here. Let's move it, and once you press 0 it goes on the camera view, and from here let's change it to 0. Oh, let's make it 90 and let's change it to 0. Let's change the rotation to 0. Let's keep it right over here. And let's click on adaptive sampling and let's go to the viewport setting. This shows the rendered view. And now let's add a light. So shift A again, press a light. I'll just add a area light. So let's move that area light right over here. Press S, let's scale it. Let's give a basic material for this plane. So select this plane, add a new material, and from the base color, let's go for a kind of darker. I think this looks fine. From that base color, let's keep the base color to kind of this one. Let's keep it like that. Now before doing anything, let's add a label first. I almost forgot about that one. So press shift A, let's go over here, let's import as an image plane. And I created a simple label using Photoshop. So go over here, let's see. So this is the one. So select this one, click on import as a plane. So here we have, let's move this a little up. Control A, let's apply all transformation and right click. Now set origin to the geometry. So here we have. Now let's create a curve. So shift A, add a curve. So this is the circle. So press tab and let's scale it a little smaller. And for this level, we want to wrap around this bottle. So let's add a subdivision for that. So let's add a subsurface modifier and press on simple, and let's increase the render to 3 and level viewport to 2. And now let's apply this one, and let's add a curve modifier, and let's select the Bezier curve that we created earlier. So here we have. Now let's select this curve, tab S, let's scale it, and let's see. Let's change it to G axis. Let's change the rotation to 90, and we want that on this side, so let's change it to 90, and let's select this curve. This curve and this one, let's move it a little up so that we can see. So here we have. Now let's select this curve, press tab, and let's make it a little smaller. So that it's perfectly fits right over here. Let's see how it looks. Yep, maybe something like that. I think this is looking pretty good. Now let's select this layer and let's increase the metallicness. Let's make it more metallic so that we can see in the viewport. So yep, and Maybe let's move them a little down, maybe right over here. Alright, and what I can do is let's connect it to the roughness too, and let's add a bump. And Shift D, let's duplicate it, and let's connect this color to height and this normal to the normal, and let's change it to the non-color data. So here we have, I think the bump is too strong, so let's crank that strength down. Maybe, I think maybe around here looks good to me. So here we have, now let's apply this curve, and let's set the origin to 3D cursor, and let's make some rotation just to make sure that it's just in front of our camera. Maybe right over here. And let's delete this curve, we don't need it anymore. Okay, now add some extra lighting. So let's Shift A, let's add a plane, and I would like to use that plane as a light, so let's increase this one. Oh sorry, let's select that plane, let's move it a little up, and let's add a new material, and let's delete that principal BFDS, and let's add a emission texture, emission setter, sorry. So select this one, click on surface, and let's crank that strength to 6, and let's rotate this by 90 degree, and let's move it right over here, and let's make it a little smaller, and I'll just make it a little taller. And let's keep it right on the edge, so it just falls on that edge only. And let's move it a little back, maybe more back, right. I'll just keep it right over here. And I think this is looking pretty good. Now let's duplicate this plane, Control Shift D, let's make it a copy, and let's keep it on other side, and the same thing, just keep it right over here. Let's change that base color to a little darker, maybe something like that. Alright, now let's add one more light. So Shift A, let's add a area light, and let's move that right over here. Let's add a rotation 90 degree, and let's move it a little up. Let's make it a little bigger. Let's add a little rotation, maybe something like that, and let's keep it let's give a little light right from here. And let's increase the strength to maybe like 300 what I think. Alright, and now let's add some object on the back. So Shift A, let's create a cube, and let's apply the same material that we applied on our background, material 5, and let's see what we can do. So select this one, let's move it right over here, let's scale it, and let's move it maybe on this side. And Shift D, let's make a copy, let's keep it right over here, and again Shift D, let's make a duplicate, scale it, and same thing, Shift D, let's make a copy, let's move it right over here, and let's make another copy, Shift D, and Shift D, let's make a one more copy, let's scale it, but I don't want to block this light, so make sure that I'm not blocking this light, so let's keep it right over here, and let's add this cube on the background too. Shift D, let's move it, and let's add, just to give some variations on that background, let's move it a little back, Shift D, let's keep it all the way to the back, and let's add some small detail on the side too. Shift D, let's add one more right over here, Shift D. So it's just the same process, I'm just repeating again and again, just to create a kind of abstract on background. So yep, so this is what we got, and let's do a test render. So let's go over here, let's increase the render samples to 300, and go to the denoising, let's turn on that denoising, and let's do a test render. So before that, let's increase the resolution to 200%, and let's click on that render region and crop to the render region, and let's do a test render. So go over here, click on render image. So while rendering, so this is the kind of same technique that applied for this image, and from here you can just import it on Photoshop, and so this is the render that I got, and you can do some adjustment on using curves, and let's just add a color balance, just a little touch, and that's the final. And I hope you guys learned something new from this tutorial, and see you guys in the next video.